Seriously though, why can't I be Tina Fey?
Because you're supposed to be Amy Poehler?
Is that because I'm blonde?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay, you can be Mindy Kaling.
That's racist.
Oh, come on, you got a shot of mocha in you.
Chill, pumpkin spice.
Bitch!
Oh, no.
Love you, boy.
A man in the town of Wigan, England, was arrested for public indecency after trying to have sex with a mailbox. This is the first time he's been arrested for the offense, despite weeks of complaints from neighbors about receiving a ton of junk mail.
A measles outbreak that originated at famous California theme park Disneyland has spread to 7 states with 114 confirmed cases. Protests have occurred demanding that Disneyland change some of their attraction names to raise awareness for these diseases and their treatments, such as It's a Smallpox World, Quarantine Space Mountain, and Alice in H1N Wonderland.
While on the subject of vaccines, Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky publicly questioned the effectiveness of vaccines recently, believing they may cause mental illness, and stated that parents should have some input on how their kids are vaccinated. Overall, he stresses that whether people know better or not, they have the right to choose. Vote for Rand Paul 2016!
In other news this week, Republican Governor of Louisiana Bobby Jindal has gone on record to affirm his belief in the existence of Muslim no-go zones, sections of France and Britain ruled by Sharia law, a concept created by Fox News commentator Steve Emerson, for which Fox has since aired a retraction and apology. Jindal insists on the validity of the concept and warned listeners that Muslims may look to colonize Western countries and set up their own enclaves. What absolute horseshit. You know, every week we bring up a joke about Republican blunders and mishaps and general idiocy, but this isn't funny. I'm going for a walk. It's so hard to be even-handed. Our writers are equal opportunity haters. It's practical not to stray too far left or right because the chance to poke fun comes from everywhere. But even our writers have never seen anything as bigoted, ignorant, or just openly slanderous as what comes from a number of prominent Republican figures.
For the last few years, GOP politics have been stipulated in us versus them, obstruct versus construct, back-to-the-wall desperations to have their frustrations verified. The Benghazi conspiracy, forcing the government shutdown, making 54 attempts to have Obamacare repealed, Ted Cruz reading green eggs and ham at the expense of taxpayer dollars, which is something you'd expect to hear if he were, say, 5 years old and enrolled in kindergarten.
Now in the wake of the Charlie attacks, it's not a matter of whether we hate Muslims, it's how much. Former Congressman Alan West said that Islam is a vicious enemy that we've allowed to come into our country. Herman Cain would have Muslims swearing oaths of loyalty before joining the presidential office. Little confusing, seeing as how swearing in on the Bible isn't enough to ensure the total loyalty of some Christian politicians.
Topping it all off, we've already heard from foreign policy guru Bobby Jindal. Here's the thing. America's Muslims totals to not even 2% of the total population, and most of these conservatives have expressed interest in a presidential bid. So why put influence behind such claims that could potentially endanger a group of Americans?
Because it's easy. Decisive politics has now become divisive politics, and this isn't a new thing. In 2008, gay marriage was a key point in many conservative platforms, with not a single candidate willing to endorse it, and a Pew poll showing over 51% of Americans openly condemn it. In a new Pew poll held in 2013, 72% of Americans said that they thought the legal recognition of gay marriage was inevitable, and the Supreme Court has already discussed overturning the ban in 4 different states. Data doesn't lie, folks. Homosexual harassment has now become all-out, no-holds-barred, gritty, turban warfare.
So what better way to attract voters than by taking a contemporary issue, such as the Charlie attacks, and capitalizing on it? It's like hitting a piñata. More to gain by appeasing the vicious kids than by sparing a cheap-looking papier-mâché horse. Problem is, you can't feed your kids candy every day. If you do, they get sick. By kids, we mean people, and by sick, we mean bitter, hateful little brats who don't play well with others and throw tantrums in public. Oh, That analogy worked out better than I thought.
Let's take a look at some of the greatest social and political leaders of our time. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, Pierre Trudeau. Their messages were optimistic, inclusive, and positive. They brought together people of different races, religions, and cultures.
Republicans, do you still wonder why Obama won twice? Because his platform didn't exclude or discriminate against people. Will his accomplishments be comparable to the leaders we listed before him? That's up for history to decide. Here's what history has already confirmed. Those who made their life's work preaching hate, paranoia, and disunity become the punchline of any political rant, like this one. The University of Toronto Students' Council has been criticized for heading up a fundraiser opposing human trafficking by hosting a date auction in which buyers pay for a night out with their purchases. In light of this event, Mox News will be hosting an open mic night for charity in support of those who are irony impaired.
A Canadian scuba diver was in for a surprise as while swimming with a whale, it began spinning and defecating, coating the diver entirely. She believes that though the waste created a massive cloud that blocked her vision, she could confirm the perpetrator was a rare dumpback whale. Ugh.
The Alaskan congressional delegation has released a statement promising to oppose any measures taken to increase the size of the Alaskan National Wildlife Refuge, making the land off-limits to oil production. Senator Lisa Murkowski believes the federal government has effectively declared war on Alaska, which is a somewhat appropriate term because, you know, they have oil.
After winning the first round of the Australian Open tennis tournament, Canadian Eugenie Bouchard was asked by an interviewing reporter to, quote, "give us a twirl," commenting on her brightly colored skirt. The incident has started double standard accusations, though some would disagree, seeing as male tennis players make flagrant sexual displays as well. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I'm Hannah Burney.
And I'm Saba Pinchwani. And that's okay, I don't have to be Tina Fey.
And I don't have to be Amy Poehler.
Because it's not about the name, it's what you make of it.
Totally. Except every Cassandra I've ever met has been a total bitch.
I know, right? And what about the Britneys?
Oh my god, the Britneys are just the absolute worst.
No.
How about the Dannys?
The
Dannys are terrible.
And the Sarahs.
Derek's are total douchebags, every single one of them. Oh my god.
Jessica.
The Marks.
Oh my god, the Hillarys.
The Matts.
The Caitlins.
The Austins.